there, welcome to Chrysalis on the Couch. And today we're talking about dreams, which is a very interesting subject. And I'm Kay, and I'm a Chrysalis tutor. And today I'm joined by Claire.
Hi, I'm Claire Smith. I'm a Year 2 student.
And Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm an ex-Chrysalis student, been qualified for a few years now.
And Debbie.
And I'm Debbie. I'm also a Year 2 student.
Okay, so please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. And we hope you enjoy our little discussion today. So dreams can be really fascinating. I am qualified in dream analysis, but I have the most weird and wonderful dreams, and sometimes it's really hard to analyse your own. Mine are always very strange, and sometimes I feel like I astral travel, which we might talk a bit about later. There's different types of dreams, isn't there? So, you know, sometimes it's just our mind processing what has happened during the day. We might even have bits of a TV program in it that we watched earlier. It might be a mishmash of things. And sometimes we will have, some people get nightmares. We will have repetitive dreams, which I think are really important because they're trying to tell us something when they keep reoccurring. And we might also have prophetic dreams that actually come true. And we will talk more about that a bit later. I also believe that we can leave our body and travel maybe to past lives, parallel universes. And the trouble with dreams is that everything is presented in symbolic form, and sometimes it's really hard trying to interpret the symbols and what the symbols actually mean. And dream analysis goes back years and years. People have been trying to understand it and have come up with different reasons for why we dream. So, Kathy, what's your feelings about dreams?
I love dreams. I just think it's the mind's way of filing, dialing and smiling, working out issues, problems. I definitely agree with the astral travelling. I think that's just so amazing. And yeah, and interpreting dreams, well, you know, it's one of those things. It sometimes can seem simple and sometimes can be so difficult. And I think it can be quite difficult to perhaps analyse your own dreams sometimes. Yeah, definitely.
So do you dream a lot yourself?
Yes, I can dream quite vividly. I remember as a child, I used to have the feeling of flying and leaving my body. Not so much now as an adult. I can have some really vivid dreams. I've had the sleep paralysis or whatever you call it as well before now. I do have a reoccurring dream, but it's not often. But
Okay.
I remember this dream when it comes from years back, and it's strange, and I build on it, but I can recognise massive certain elements from it. And I have had a bit of a nightmare, which I remember vividly. It was probably last year, and when I woke up, my husband said, I thought you was talking in tongues. I was actually trying to scream in my sleep. So yes, a dreaming can be quite vivid sometimes.
Oh, well, maybe we can come back to them a bit later if we get time. Yeah, I've not had nightmares, and of course not everybody remembers their dreams. I remember, you know, my dad died in his 80s and he said he'd never had a dream in his life, and of course he had, but it's just he didn't remember them. I mean, do you remember yours, Claire? How do you feel about dreams and dreaming?
I dream a lot, and I keep a dream journal, and I use my dreams to guide me, help me make decisions. I problem solve in dreams. If there's something I don't understand, I can sometimes dream it through and then think, that's how that works. I very much use my dreams every day. I use all matter of symbols and creatures in there to just let me know if I'm doing things right or wrong or need to change something. Yeah.
So you've got quite good at
And I do
interpreting.
feel so. Yes. I can feel in my dream, and I can observe myself in my dream as well as be in the dream or be something in the dream.
Right. Okay. Any of that ring true for you, Debbie?
Not really, if I'm honest. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the discussion that we're having today, and it's good to get other people's viewpoints. I do believe in reincarnation and past lives. I don't often recall my dreams in detail, but there are times that I know, it's not often, but I know that I'll have a nightmare, maybe once every few years, and I'll wake up and it's so, the anxiety is so intense that I have to get up, because if I go back to sleep, it starts again. So I just have to get up and just sort of clear the mind, and before I can go back to sleep. But not really. For me, dreams though do help me problem solve. So I might have something, particularly at work, that there's a real issue, and I'll try and think, how am I going to work through this? What process can I do? And I can't think of a solution. Sometimes I would just wake up in the morning, and it's like somebody's told me exactly what to do, because I know exactly what to do to move forward. But yeah, no, I'm interested in kind of getting some more views, and interested in knowing why I don't recall my dreams.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't. The trouble with it is that when you wake up, you need to lay still to be able to recall them, and then write them down straight away, whatever you can remember. Because the trouble is, as soon as you move, they're gone. They just go. So that's the way to do it, really, is to have a dream journal, and you need it by the side of the bed, because in the morning you've forgotten about them. You know, we dream when we're in REM sleep, and we have several dreams during the night. And isn't it strange in a dream how you can feel like you've done like a whole day in your dream, and it's probably actually like 5 minutes. You know, I find that really interesting, how time is distorted in your dream.
I have an app on my watch, and it tells me how long I spend in REM.
Right.
And that's quite interesting. But it's amazing how you say you can feel like you've been at it for hours. I sometimes feel like, oh my goodness, that dream went on forever. And I can look in my app and find that it was for an hour or whatever. But it typically says I dream for about an hour and something each night, typically, on my app.
But that might be different dreams, not one dream. That's probably several different dreams, you know, in that time period. So what's the sort of things that you dream about? Because there's some quite like common dream things that are fascinating. Like a lot of people dream about being naked. Anyone had a naked dream?
Often bare-breasted. If I'm going to be naked, it's from the waist upwards.
Right. And often that's about...
It's usually in a public space as well.
And that's about being vulnerable. Now, vulnerability coming out. You know, people dream of falling. That's quite a common one. Like, feel like you're falling off the curb or falling off a cliff or something like that. You know, they're quite common as well.
Yeah, I have that one. That one I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So what other sort of ones have you remembered, Debbie, that you've had? What are they about?
I think for me, when I'm going through a particular trauma,
Right.
I think I would dream about that. I try not to, if you know, because I don't want to. because it will sometimes blow things, you know, make them far worse. Do you know? And it will. I don't know if I am worried about dreaming, because if I have a lot going on, at the moment I've got quite a lot going on. So if I have a lot going on, which is quite significant, then I won't allow myself to go to sleep. I think it might be a fear of dreaming. So, you know, I was up last week till 2:30 in the morning, and I had to get up at 6 for work. Obviously, I was tired then, but I wonder if that's, you know, if it's like a defense mechanism. I wonder if it is like a defense mechanism. But falling, I don't remember where I'm falling from. I just wake up with like I've fallen, you know.
But why would you be scared of dreaming, do you think? Because you said as well they help you to problem solve and stuff. So
I think they can, but I think also, I remember having a dream with years ago with 2 of my children were on it, and we were escaping. I don't know what we were escaping from, but escaping from somewhere, and they were on a roller coaster, and I wanted to make sure they were done up. And it was a dream I kept having over and over again. They just kept going this roller coaster, and it was just this fear that they weren't clipped in safely. I don't know. I don't know. And
I mean,
sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I think the difficulty for me is, you know, you made a really good point that I tend to open my eyes and jump to start my day. I don't lay there and think. But obviously I do on occasion, because occasionally I wake up and I know how to fix a business problem. It's a business problem, not a personal problem. It's a business problem. I know how to fix a business problem, and that's great. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that one about your family in the roller coaster, that's quite a common sort of dream, and it's just your anxieties coming out. But I think sometimes the symbols frighten people, you know, what they see, because it is in symbolic form. They don't know what it means. And sometimes they can interpret to mean something which it really isn't. You know, I had a client, and he was being chased and somebody wanted to kill him. You know, but I mean, that's not going to happen. It was his own fear about something happening in his life, and he felt like, you know, he deserved that. He had a lot of guilt and stuff at that time. So it's looking at everything in the dream, isn't it, and how it relates to what's going on in your life at the current time. What would you make of that one, Claire?
It often feels like when you have such, because we're human, we sometimes have such simple go-to prototypes of feelings, say fear or disgust or joy or whatever. And I feel like some of those are in the dream, and we sometimes might try and avoid the fear dreams. But looking at it more broadly, when we see the symbolic images and the metaphors playing out in the dream, that helps us to decipher that it isn't just about fear so much, that there is a fear, but there are other things and aspects of ourselves that can help us work through that, or come to terms with that, or take that forwards into our life.
I mean, I remember a dream that my daughter had, and it really frightened her. She was really concerned when she woke up and come to speak to me about it. And she said, I asked Auntie Vic to help me, and we killed you, and we wrapped you up in cellophane and rolled you down the stairs. And of course she felt really bad about it. But looking at what that represented, she was just about to move out of home with her boyfriend. She was becoming independent. She didn't need me anymore. So symbolically, she was killing me off,
Yeah.
you know, and she needed a bit of help because she didn't want to do it all by herself. Take the blame. You know, so I think it's fascinating. Once I explained it to her, she was like, oh, all right then. But yeah, for a little while she was really concerned about it. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? I remember my son telling me about a dream that he had. And I think at the time he was about, gosh, how old would he have been? Maybe he was about 9 or 10. And he dreamt, and he said, but I'm going to do it. I've decided I'm going to do it. So I said, well, what happened? And he said, so you died, he said, and it was okay because I kept you. So during the day, I would drag you down the stairs and pop you in a chair. And then at night, I'd drag you back up the stairs and pop you in bed. that was a bit weird. I said, oh, nice. But maybe that was about him. I don't know. Maybe that was about him needing me, thinking that he needed me close. I don't know. Or is it just, or do they all have meanings? Do they all have meanings? Or are they just dreams?
I mean, I think there's always some message in there, you know, but finding what it is can be difficult, you know. And I think to do dream analysis properly, it can take a long time, and you have to know about that person's life and what's really going on for them, and what the dream was like, if they felt scared during the dream or when they woke up, or whether it was in colour or black and white. All these different things are quite important when you're trying to work out a dream. But these dream dictionaries, I don't like, because the meanings are very generic, aren't they? And it's really more about what that symbol means to the person. Like a snake, for example, will mean something in a dream dictionary, but it depends what a snake means to the individual person.
I've had a few dream dictionaries, and I've never found they've corresponded to what I've been seeing in the dreams. And the fear ones are quite interesting. I mean, sometimes I ask the universe or the angels, you know, oh, I'd like to really see something or learn something in my sleep. And I often feel so disappointed. Those are more often the mornings I wake up and I have nada. And then there's other times when it's just so vivid. But I had a particular dream where there was a shop, but it was actually a cave. And the shop front was the mouth of the cave that was open, and there was sunlight in it. And there was a woman sitting down on the floor, but tied with her arms behind her back to a like a stake sort of thing. And I was with my daughter, and it felt like I was in Cornwall. So I said, oh my goodness, there's a woman tied up. Let's go in. And I went, oh my goodness, in the back in the shadows, there's a vampire, but it's okay because she's in the sunlight. Quick, help me untie her. And then we went into the shade, and I went quick. And I was screaming, run. And that was when I woke up, and my husband said I'd been mumbling in my sleep, like I was talking in tongues, because I was screaming for my daughter to get out and following in hot pursuit, and, you know, still trying to untie the woman, which I think I had to leave her behind in the end. So it is about understanding those symbols. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's the interpretation of what's happening at that time, and, you know, understanding your symbols in your dream.
So did you make anything of that one?
No, because I woke up in a state of shock. And do you know what? It's one of those dreams, because I haven't really been writing them down. I always recognise the house one, but it's never left me. I woke up and it stayed with me, and I still can have the recall of it. It was so vivid. Yeah.
See, Gestalt therapy would say that we need to bring all those elements into the present and examine our dream. And so you would take on the role of each person. So the woman you'd become the woman that was tied up. You'd become the vampire. And I know that sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? Becoming a vampire. But it's like, what does that represent?
Yeah.
It's like those different things could all be a part of you.
Yeah.
Did you feel restricted in some way? Did you need rescuing? You know, what's the vampire bit?
Yeah, I felt I really wanted to rescue the woman and was just trying to juggle it all. And I can remember the fear. I remember feeling fear because obviously I was trying to scream in my sleep. So
Yeah, yeah. What do you make of that one, Claire?
I was thinking of the aspects of self, and I was thinking about dark and light, shadow and light, and the woman being in the light, but having the shadow and the shadowy archetype threatening her,
Mm,
yeah,
being there with your daughter as well, coming in to save that person. That I wonder if it reoccurs because it didn't quite get the woman out the cave, and it's not until you get the woman out the cave that maybe the dream will stop, or that maybe look at the vampire too. If you're able to lucid dream,
yeah.
I would try and turn to the vampire and see if they actually are a vampire or if they're something else quite different.
I have to be honest, even though I remember it, I've not dreamt of it since. I wouldn't be scared to go back and revisit it. I do believe in doing rescues as well in your sleep. I do think we can go in and do rescues. I don't know what that was about, whether it was rescuing part of myself or part of my daughter, perhaps that I felt was lost or something. But that's interesting. So yeah, I'll open myself up to that one, see what happens.
mm. So, what do you mean by rescuing, Kathy? And then we'll go to Claire about lucid dreaming. Some people might not know what that is either.
So for me, I have a strong belief that sometimes we can do rescues, people that are stuck, perhaps because Claire was talking about the dark and the light. Sometimes people, I feel, get stuck in the dark and they need to go to the light. And I do feel that sometimes you can do rescues in your sleep. So I am a believer of that. So that could be an interesting element to look at. But I do feel that perhaps now thinking about it, it could be symbolic and rescuing parts of self or parts of other people.
Mm.
So
And
yeah.
often, you know, we don't like our shadow side, do we? That's the part of us we try to deny or project into others. And sometimes it might just be bringing that to our attention, that, you know, integrating our shadow side to become a whole person. Mm. So what about lucid dreaming, Claire?
Yeah, again, it's because I have different perspectives in the dream. So sometimes I'm observing. I feel like I'm always observing. And I feel like I do that actually in daily life too. I feel like some part of me watches, because when I self-reflect, I feel like that's the bit that informs me. So when I'm in a dream state, I can sometimes make decisions to say, no, the dream isn't going to go that way, or we're not going to finish it here. We're going to do this first before we finish. I feel like I'm making a conscious decision in the dream, but it's from subconscious or unconscious or collective unconscious, wherever it comes from. It's making a decision in the dream to say, this is how it's going to go now. We're going to get this, or this is going to stop, or whatever. I remember having a dream. It was such a fantastic dream during lockdown, and I just started my own shadow work, which was possibly the most hideous elective journey ever, but really worth doing. But during those first couple of months, I had a dream where I was a young boy, and I was also watching a great big phoenix bird, and the phoenix climbed into a fire, into some embers, and I had a great love for the phoenix as the boy, and I realized that I was also the phoenix. There were aspects of myself there rather than it just being a whole one character, and I felt a great love for the phoenix. And as the little boy, I came over to the fire and I blew the embers onto the phoenix as the phoenix stepped into the fire to help him burn quicker, so he wouldn't just suffer too long, but knew that he had to do that. And I watched the phoenix burn down to sort of ash and embers and stayed there as the young boy. And I didn't want to leave the young boy there on his own, so I lucidly sort of had the boy walk away, feeling quite satisfied about the work he'd done for the Phoenix without too much remorse, just letting go of that and letting that be that way. I found that helped me walk away from the dream.
And I mean, ancient tribes would say that we can re-enter a dream and change it.
I've done that.
Yeah.
That resonated what Claire said. I've done that quite a lot because I thought, well, no, I don't like that. We've got to do something different here. But I never thought about it too much, but I will now. I so will now. Yeah.
So when you was the boy, what do you think that meant, Claire, when you was the boy?
I felt like that was a masculine aspect of self. In Jungian terms, like the animus, or whichever way around it is, I felt like it was a young male aspect of me that was in some way in agreement with the process of the Phoenix. That seemed the point of the Phoenix was it was going to rise from the ashes and rebirth, so to speak. So there was going to be personal change, but the boy had to accept that parts of the ego were definitely going to dissolve, and that wasn't going to be particularly easy, but it was something that had to be done. So if it was done with love, that kind of put a calmer blanket on things.
I often have dreams about things that couldn't actually happen, like in the real world, like transport dreams. And transport is normally about your journey through life, you know, but often I'm in my car and I'm going up a hill, and this is usually when I've got a challenging time, and I start going up the hill, and the car, I mean, really, it would roll back down, wouldn't it, if you couldn't get up it? But we're in the dreams, the car goes backwards and falls like backwards off the road, you know. It's really bizarre, but I know that's just about challenges in life, and different forms of transport mean different things. But I've dreamt several times about yellow helicopters. I don't really know what the significance of the yellow is, but I'm in a helicopter, and it's sort of whirring and it's going to crash, but then it crashes into a river and it turns into a boat and sails very gently up the river to get me to my destination. And it's sometimes like, oh, well, I was worried about that, but actually I don't need to be worried about that because it's all going to be okay. So sometimes dreams can be really reassuring, can't they? Just let you know that you don't need to worry about things.
I mean, I have had some dreams about meeting people that have passed, and that can be really comforting, actually. Is it really reassuring, actually, to meet people that have passed and have a conversation with them, not about anything significant, but just, you know, saying hi, really, and checking that we're okay.
I suppose it depends on your belief system, doesn't it? Because some people would say they're actual visitations rather than dreams, you know. I know, I mean, I've had loads of animals, but most of them have sort of died when they're older. I've been okay with it. But I had a white rabbit, and he was like a house rabbit. He was gorgeous, and he was just a big part of the family. And he just had free run of the house and garden. And one day I come home from being out, and he was laying on the pathway, and something had got in the garden and attacked him. And he died. And I was more worried about him because I didn't know how long he'd been laying, how long he'd been suffering. And to me, that's the worst part, the suffering, not the death. And it was a week or so later, and I had a visitation dream, whatever you want to call it. And I felt little footprints on my bed. And then he was just he sat up like he used to, like this, sat on the bed, and he was like, look, I'm fine. you don't need to worry about me. And I woke up in the morning and didn't worry at all after that. It was like, yeah, I'm fine, it's okay. So yeah, they can be really comforting as well, can't they?
Yeah.
Perhaps it's when your conscious mind gets out of your own way. I feel like that sort of connection with the collective unconsciousness is available, and all of the consciousness in the universe is available to you to tap into. I would definitely believe that we can converse with those that have passed away in dream state.
And I said we'd talk a little bit about prophetic dreams, because I mean, I've had a few of those, but I'll just give one as an example. So it was different to an ordinary dream. It was like, you know, in a comic book where they have like the zigzag things around the writing. It was almost like my dream was like that. And I dreamt that it was late at night and I was in bed, and a man dressed totally in black walked into my garden through the back gate, and was standing in my garden. And I woke up at that point, and it was like, oh my God, what was that? And then I realised, well, was he going to burgle the house? He was dressed all in black. It was late at night. Was he going to try and break in? Was he going to burgle me? I realised he didn't have a case or anything to put anything in on him. And I thought, well, that was weird. And it was about 2 weeks later, and I was asleep at night, and my daughter had woken up and came into my bedroom and said, Mum, there's a man in the garden. And I went and looked out the window, and a man dressed all in black had walked in the back gate and was walking up to the front door. Well, I got my phone and called the police. But for some reason, I wasn't that worried about it. And the police took ages to get there, and there was no one trying to break in or anything. And he didn't have a bag or anything with him. And we just sort of stood there, and then the police arrived. And apparently the police came and knocked on the door, and they said he was totally drunk and he was with some friends, and they just decided it'd be a laugh to drop him somewhere, just drop him off somewhere. He didn't know where he was, what he was doing. And he just sort of walked in my garden and was actually leaning against the wall near the front door. So he was totally harmless, you know, but it was just strange that I'd sort of been warned about that. Maybe it was to ensure me that nothing bad was going to happen, you know, it wasn't really a threat. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Anyone else had a prophetic type dream?
I don't know if my dream was prophetic or whether it was an astral travelling or a bit of both, but I'd parted with an ex-partner, and I dreamt one night he was there. It was so vivid. I woke up, turned over to give him a peck on the cheek, and he wasn't there. But in the dream, it felt like he said I was coming. So I often wondered if he had sort of astral travelled. And we did reunite shortly after that.
Oh, right.
So and I'll never forget it, because my mum's the only person who ever knew about this, because I said I thought he was there. I honestly thought he was there. And she said, I wonder if he astral travelled. I said I woke up to give him a kiss, and it wasn't. It was just a pillow, and he wasn't there. But I feel he's there. And then he did. Yeah, he did return.
Yeah.
For a while. For a little while. So
well, I think sometimes you have those connections with like your soulmates, soul family and stuff, because I've had dreams like that about someone I know I've been with in multiple lives, or you know, in different ways at different times. So yeah, those sort of dreams are fascinating. Debbie's looking like I've never had any of those.
But it was interesting. Claire said something, and I thought, do you know, that's really quite interesting to kind of come out of, you said something, Claire, I think, about coming out of the conscious mind to give yourself sort of a space to kind of, and I think it's quite important, because my belief systems are, I'm very open about my belief systems, because we don't know, do we? I mean, if we haven't, I know a lot of people are quite adamant they do know, but there are views, really strong views or whatever. So I do believe certain things. You know, I do believe that I believe that we're reincarnated. I do believe that we're here for a reason. I believe that we, you know, are with certain people. Sometimes we may come back again and again with certain people. So I do have those beliefs. But I think that my life is so chaotic that I don't really give time, or I haven't really had the time to kind of really explore and look into things a bit more. I just kind of accept that's what I believe, and I don't really know why. But it's really interesting listening to, I thought it was, Kathy, interesting when you said you were talking about change. And I guess because Claire, and I guess that Claire and Kay have got more knowledge of this. When you said like changing, helping people, and I can't, to me, I can't quite get my head around that. You know, you said something about helping people in a dream state that are maybe struggling. So what, helping them in that state so that maybe they're not struggling so much in life? Is that what you're saying?
I see what, no, and people that have passed over, sometimes they say they get stuck and they don't go to the light, and they say that. So you can do a rescue and say to them, go to light. I mean, my mum told me about a dream she had many years ago. She said she dreamt that, you know, we were being chased by people that hadn't gone to light, and she said, you came with me on this, and I felt like we'd gone on a rescue. She said, only I got scared and started running, and I was screaming at you to run as well. But that was many years ago. But I do feel that sometimes, you know, you can do rescues in your sleep. It's just a belief I have. And through friends as well that in a spiritual realm have had the same experiences.
I think we're capable of much more than most people even think about, you know, and I know I go all sorts of weird and wonderful places, and sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm so exhausted because I've been doing things all night in like a parallel life, and I know a lot about those lives and you know, other places where maybe I've been in the past or future, because time is only like it is here. So yeah, I believe once we sort of let go of that control of that conscious mind, we're capable of all sorts of things. But it is being able to let go of that control as well. Some people are they just don't like giving up that control. And that's you, Debbie.
It makes me feel safe. You know, it makes me feel safe. It's something I'm working on in my therapy. So I am working on it in my therapy. So do you think, on what the subject that we're talking about here, so my granddaughter, when she was 3, we were sitting and we were talking, and we were just chatting, me and her dad. Her mum was in bed asleep. It was early in the morning, and it was Mum's day for Elaine, and she said, she looked at the snow and she said to me, do you know my mummy died in that snow? Wow. So I said to her, Mummy's in bed, darling. She said, no, not that one. My other mummy died in the snow.
Oh, and, yes.
and you know, and then I kind of think, you know, perhaps, and my eldest son would have very long, deep conversations, and then it sort of stopped when he got sort of 5, 6 years old. So maybe you lose that ability. You can lose that ability to connect. I don't know.
Yeah, it does tend to go when you're about 7. But also parents don't help, because normally they say, oh, you know, it's just your imagination and stuff like that, where really we should be asking questions. But there's loads of books about children remembering their past lives. You should read some, Debbie, because it's absolutely fascinating. And of course, it's a totally another subject, and maybe we could do another talk on those past lives and remembering our different incarnations, because that would be really interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
That would be good.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our time is nearly up. I'm sure we could talk so much more about all the different types of dreams and, you know, look at some of those dreams in more detail. But we haven't got time today. But maybe another time. So we'll wrap it up for now. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Look out for the next one, which will be coming soon. And hopefully we will see you again soon, maybe talking about past lives, who knows. But for now, we need to say cheerio. So it's been lovely talking to you guys. And
Thank
see you
you.
again soon. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.